Hi, this is Frank with a Frank Opinion. 4 days ago, I stated on Facebook that every hour that the Jones Act restrictions, limiting and making it very difficult for foreign ships to enter Puerto Rico's ports in order to provide tremendously needed humanitarian aid, food, water, gasoline, diesel fuel, medical supplies, would be a death sentence to Puerto Ricans and others on Puerto Rico, devastated by a hurricane that was seen quite a few days in advance of making a direct hit on Puerto Rico, an island 35 by 100 miles, which has been an American territory with American citizens since 1898 by virtue of the other Jones Act of 1917. So these are American citizens. Our White House occupant, seeing weather reports, might have wanted to call together a cabinet meeting of the appropriate agencies in order to determine, just in case, what might have to happen in order to be fully prepared for an island that size to be devastated and for American citizens, American lives, to be saved, to be able to get out of harm's way. He didn't do that. He waited days. He focused on other non-consequential things. And as the humanitarian crisis continued to grow, he continued to be distracted and deflected and indicating that wonderful things and wonderful responses were being made on the island by FEMA and other agencies, only to be disproven by people on the ground, not only journalists, but the mayor of San Juan, the capital of Puerto Rico, who I have here, Carmen Yulín Cruz, holding an elderly Puerto Rican woman who can be seen here, if you could see this photo, who's clearly in tremendous fear. He's criticized the mayor for criticizing him in the most recent tweets this morning. But I want to lay out, as I like to do, a couple of things from a governmental and maybe even a public policy point of view. Number one, I want to point out that in working with government officials, 2 mayors and a governor at high levels, I witnessed the amount of power that in fact governors, mayors, presidents do in fact have. There are things that maybe they can't do because it demands legislation, but very often what they can do is create a situation where waivers are given, where military, he is our commander-in-chief. So he had a test case here, not in a situation where he orders his military to bomb and kill, but orders the military in order to do what it needed to be done in order to save lives here. And he failed miserably. All he had to do was call a cabinet meeting and say, I want a plan on my desk in 24 hours that will provide maximum safety and save maximum lives in Puerto Rico. And by golly, having worked for a governor and 2 mayors, that plan would have been on his desk in 24 hours. Make no mistake about it. There's an American mystery that has eluded me for years, and it's this, that the higher the level of authority of a governmental official, the greater our level of tolerance for their incompetence. Let me repeat that. The higher the level of authority of the governmental official or elected official, the higher our level of tolerance for their incompetence. So I want you to know that when you are looking at a government official who's giving you mush, who you kind of feel in your gut, has a lot more ability to do what's right than what he or she is portraying, you're probably right. I want to look at that, besides that lesson, I want to look at this from another angle here, an important one. In that same post, I said that not doing something when it could have been done by the commander-in-chief could be considered criminally negligent manslaughter. Well, let me read to you from 4 sources the definitions and some examples of criminally negligent manslaughter. Criminally negligent manslaughter occurs where there is an omission to act when there is a duty to do so, or failure to perform a duty owed which leads to death. That's one source. Second one, there are numerous cases in which an omission to act or a failure to perform a duty constitutes criminally negligent manslaughter. The existence of a duty is essential. A duty, American president, commander-in-chief, forewarning, foreknowledge of a catastrophic act that made and has the resources to do something about it. Since the law does not recognize that an ordinary person has a duty to aid or rescue another in distress, an ensuing death from failure to act would not be manslaughter. On the other hand, an omission in which one has a duty, such as the failure of a lifeguard to attempt to save a drowning person, might constitute the offense. Third, Dr. Johnson, some example, is treating Mary for severe problems breathing. When he is forced to place a tube into her lungs to assist her with breathing, he fails to ensure the tube's placement. Because air was being delivered to her stomach rather than her lungs, Mary dies. Even though he did not intend to kill Mary, Dr. Johnson caused her death by acting in a negligent manner and has therefore committed criminally negligent manslaughter. Fourth, a killing caused by a severely negligent act or omission. Well, I can probably read from 20 other sources, and I'll probably come to the same conclusion, that the occupant in the White House, who has the gall to criticize the mayor of San Juan, Puerto Rico, is guilty of criminally negligent manslaughter, and that can be added to articles of impeachment. Thank you.